Guys. So we're kicking off a pretty fun week, and we're going to call it Earth Week. Earth Day is Wednesday, and Earth Day is something that they'll be actually celebrating all around the world. And it's a day when everybody thinks about what they can do to take care of planet Earth. And we're going to talk more about that in the next couple of days as we read poetry about it. But I wanted to point something out to you. Do you see the shirt that I'm wearing? I bet you know this is the Justice League, right? And I bet you recognize one of my favorite people, Wonder Woman, whichever side she's on, and Aquaman, and Batman, and Cyborg, and the Flash. Those are all members of the Justice League, and they're superheroes. And one day we're going to talk more about just superheroes. But I wanted you to think of yourself as a superhero as we go through this week and talk about what you can do to help make Earth a better place. And I actually, to remind myself, I have my Superman ring. I got this a long time ago, and it really looks old. And I've got my Wonder Woman ring, so I am all set to try to be a superhero for planet Earth this week. So let me read a couple to you first, and then we're going to read one about, of all the silly things, an earthworm. So let's start by reading one that's a true story about my little girl and what happened to her one night with the tooth fairy. It's called The Missing Tooth. I lost a tooth the other day and hid it carefully away. I put it in a special box and hid it underneath my socks. I moved my tooth when it was night, beneath my pillow, out of sight. Much too excited to slumber deep, it took a while to fall asleep. When I woke up, I felt around, but there was nothing to be found. No money, no tooth, no nothing there. All I could feel was empty air. I certainly expected more, but then I noticed on the floor, the box was there, my tooth inside. I was so sad I almost cried. I must have knocked it off the bed, right from underneath my head. Try again, my mom advised. You might just be a bit surprised. And so I did, and can you guess? The fairy came. I was impressed. And now I have $1 more to spend our next trip to the store. So she thought that her tooth was missing, and she didn't see the tooth, and she didn't see anything from the tooth fairy, and she was very sad. But turns out that it wasn't the tooth fairy's fault. It had just fallen on the floor. So I just thought that was kind of a funny story. Probably wasn't so funny to Ashley at the time, but okay, this one's called If I Could Work at the Zoo. And you ever thought about that? If you could work at the zoo one day, what would you like to do? Because there seems like there'd be so many fun things that you could do. If you could work at the zoo, what job do you think you would choose? You could drive the train or feed the bears. There's no way you could lose. You could train the tigers or feed giraffes or play with the chimpanzees. You could work in the animal nursery and take care of the zoo babies. You could sell balloons and ice cream to all the folks who come by. You could throw the sea lions fish and take care of the birds that don't fly. You could hose down the lion enclosures and watch the snow leopards pace. Perhaps you could feed the elephants or see if gazelles really race. It would be so hard to choose a job, whether big or small. I might just be the head zookeeper, so I could do them all. Then I could drive the train, and I could feed the bears, and I could throw fish to the sea lions. I could do it all. That would be a pretty cool job to have. And this last one is called the earthworm. So let's talk a minute about earthworms. Earthworms are amazing little creatures, and I bet you've seen them on sidewalks or maybe in mud puddles. That's where I used to find them when I was little. And earthworms are wonderful things, speaking of taking care of the earth, wonderful things to have in your garden, because as they move around, they move the soil and loosen it, and it helps your vegetables or your flowers or whatever you've planted grow better. So they're really good things to have in your garden. This is called the earthworm. An earthworm on the sidewalk asked as I walked by, "Would you move me to the grass so I don't have to die?" I thought about his question, but it didn't take me long. To ignore his anxious cry for help would have seemed so wrong. I found a stick nearby and moved him carefully. I placed him gently in the grass. He thanked me happily. I watched him as he crawled away and wriggled out of sight. and knew for sure that I had done exactly what was right. So I did what was right for the earthworm, but I also did what was right for somebody's garden. And speaking of gardens, I got a couple of earthworms. Let me see if I can find them in here out of my garden. No. And they disappeared. Where are you? Okay, well, there's one. There's a little one. Okay. Oops, and he wants to wriggle around. Okay, this is just a small one. I have a bigger one in here too, which I don't see at the moment. I think he's hiding from me. They do that. Okay, so I am not afraid to pick them up, and when I see them, if they're not, if they're on the sidewalk or where they shouldn't be, I will pick them up and move them. Well, we're not going to worry about him. He's in there somewhere. And I will move them from the sidewalk back to the garden. But if you don't like to touch them, and a lot of people don't, like I don't like to touch snakes either. I wouldn't touch a snake. But an earthworm is so small that doesn't bother me. So if you don't like to touch them, you can always just kind of gently push it with a stick or pick it up and move it. But the point here is that, oh, there he goes, he's moving a little bit. The point is that earthworms are really, they have a purpose. They're really good for gardeners. And so they're one of those things that you can do to help kind of be a superhero for the earth. And after you handle something, I'm going to take these guys out and put them both back in my garden before I go to bed tonight. So don't worry about that. But after you handle something like that, you always, and I will wash my hands pretty soon here, but you always clean your hands because they may be nice, but they're just a little bit dirty. So, okay, I will take these guys out in a few minutes and put them back in my garden so they can help things grow. And tomorrow we will talk more about Earth Day. And if you have any topics, anything that you would like me to write about, please let me know. Have Mom or Dad let me know on Facebook so that I can do it. I have one request I need to fill pretty soon here. So 143, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.